haven't even read any of the books. Very hefty with only a week left. Holy crap. I don't feel like she's cheering me on this. So we need to talk. I have been not doing so hot when it comes to reading any of the books on my TBR. I've read 4 books so far for this month, and 2 of them were books that carried over from the previous month because I wasn't able to finish them in time. But yeah, I've been struggling. I've been very much struggling to read any physical books, finish any books. I'm in the middle of 2 books. So I'm in the middle of King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby and then Flawless by Elsie Silver. And it's not that the books aren't good. They're really good. I just have been struggling to really get invested and finish reading a book. I haven't even read any of the books that I have on my Defend the TBR episode for this month, and we just have around a week left. So what I'm thinking we might need to do is we might need to do a reading vlog where I just sit down, I focus on reading these books, I work on finishing up these 2 books that I have, work on reading these books, plus another one that's on my Kindle because I don't have a physical copy of it. But yeah, work on finishing all these books before the end of the month. Otherwise, we will have a lot of points that we are losing for this month. And the thing is, like, I can't even film my mid-year reading recap, book tag, whatever you want to call it, because with the slump that I'm currently in, I can't even think of books that I would use as answers to any of those questions. So we're gonna need to fix that. We're gonna need to lock it down and work on reading and hopefully beating this reading slump so that I can feel a little bit more accomplished, because I currently do not feel that way with how difficult it's been to read any of these books. So let's get a drink, let's get cozy, and let's start reading. Okay, so first book we're gonna work on reading is going to be Flawless by Elsie Silver. I really want to finish reading the books that I've already started before we dive into any new books. So I'm currently on this one. I'm on page 264 out of 412, so 62% of the way through with this book. And like I said, I'm loving it. I love small town romances, stuff like that. I'm also kind of a bit in my romance era, which is really weird. But yeah, so I thought when I picked this book up, it would go a lot better. I would kind of get out of this weird reading slump thing that I was in, but unfortunately that was not the case. So let's work on finishing this book, and then we'll start one of the other books that I have as well. I just finished Flawless and it was really good. It took a minute for me to get back into reading, but I loved it. It probably would be maybe around 4.25 stars for me. There was one moment that was kind of one of my pet peeves, especially with romance stories, but it still was super cute and I absolutely loved it. It's definitely not missing me with the fact that I'm really enjoying romance books at the moment, which is something I never thought I would be saying, but I love small town romances, cowboy romances, stuff like that. It's definitely just something that's very nostalgic for me as someone that grew up in a small town that also had rodeos happening. So yeah, I really loved it and I can't wait to continue on with the series. But that completes our first finished book, and I'm probably going to switch over to listening to an audio. So for King of Ashes, started reading it physically and then kind of realized like it was taking a while and going really slow for me, so I've been listening to it as an audiobook since it came out recently. I was hoping to finish it before the release date, but yeah, I'll go and switch over to that. Like I said, Flawless was 4.25 stars for me. Very cute. It was like enemies to lovers, which is also one of my favorite tropes. And yeah, let's keep the ball rolling. Let's try to continue reading and hopefully finishing up this month's TBR, which is very hefty with only a week left. Okay, now I'm going to listen to some King of Ashes. I am currently on chapter 15 out of 40. Oh, I'm almost done with chapter 15. So I have around 8 hours and 46 minutes left. So I will be listening to this while also playing some Palia.
Piece in the game. We move the pawns around the board until they take the king out for us.
Morning everyone. So today is an entirely new day. I am on chapter 20 in King of Ashes and I have around 6 hours and 33 minutes left. And then after I finished Flawless, I needed a physical book to go and read. So I picked up Night in the Moth last night, which you'll have seen me start. I only got to page 10 before it was time to go to bed. So I'm hoping to make a little bit of a dent in that today. But also, today we are going to see Halsey later in the afternoon. For those of you that have been in my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm very introverted. I don't usually leave my little hobbit hole, but every now and then I do, whether it's something with food, something nerdy, or something that involves books. And Halsey is one of my favorite singers, favorite artists. I have followed their music for quite a few years and I've always wanted to go to one of their concerts, but obviously they got sick a while back, and then when they did come to Colorado, I just never had someone that I could go to the concert with. So when I saw that they had their newest tour, I think for My Last Trick, I think that's what this one is called, I went and asked Charles. I was like, hey, would you be down to go to a Halsey concert? And Charles is kind of like me. Concerts tend to be very overstimulating and aren't usually something that they like to go to see. So he went and said yes. So I was so excited, and yeah, tonight is our Halsey concert. So I'm gonna try to get some reading done, probably some physical reading. I just don't think I'll be able to finish the S.A. Cosby book today. Ideally, I was hoping to have a video that would be able to go live for Monday, because Monday is usually my posting day, but I just don't have enough content and I don't have an idea ready to go and film. So yeah, I think this video is just gonna be later in the week. It's just gonna be delayed a little bit. But with that being said, I'm gonna start reading. I have my Earl Grey tea here and we're gonna get cozy. I'm gonna read here at my computer desk for a little bit and then switch around to somewhere else. But yeah, get your book and let's start reading. So here's the outfit for Halsey. I have just this little tank top on and then jeans, and I'm going to be bringing this hoodie because Red Rocks, from what I remember, it gets cold at night. And then I have a little fidget ring to go and mess with because I'll probably get overstimulated. I decided to keep my glasses on because I haven't really worn my contacts in a hot minute, and especially with it, you know, probably being into night and stuff like that, I feel like I'd rather be comfortable and have my glasses on versus not. But yeah, so this is the outfit for Halsey. I'm excited but also nervous just because lots of people, but also I really love Halsey, so super excited to go. We are just gassing up before we continue heading to Red Rocks. It's like I have a sun goatee going on right now. But yeah, we're just getting some gas, and we've been listening to some Halsey music. I'll admit, like, her most recent album, I haven't listened to a lot, but I'm pretty sure that one, as well as her single Safe Word, are probably going to be songs that play at their concert tonight. Also, Charles made us sandwiches. So we have sandwiches for on the road, driving up to Red Rocks and everything. I forgot that where I lived previously was a lot closer to Red Rocks versus where we live now, so. So I've honestly been horrid at giving any sort of updates. I just have been tired and everything. Oh, hi Nugs. I've kind of been, yeah, hi. Okay, bye. I've been a little bit tired. So Sunday we went to the Halsey concert, and obviously you all have seen footage from it because I was just in absolute awe. Halsey was one of my last few artists that I really wanted to see. I'm not a huge concert person, but I do have like a bucket list of the different concerts I'd like to see. So now I am completely satisfied because I've seen Taylor Swift, I've seen Paramore, and now Halsey. I'm done unless, I don't know, like All American Rejects or something shows up here in Colorado, then maybe I'll reconsider the end of my bucket list. But yeah, so we went to that. It was honestly great. There were so many people there, but compared to when we saw Taylor Swift, the crowd leaving and everything like that, it was just, you know, there was a lot of people, but there wasn't like pushing and shoving. Like, it just was a lot more flawless and seamless. And I was like, you know what? If we ever had to go to a concert at Red Rocks, I would not be upset because that was just the least anxiety-ridden process I've ever been to. Now, at Red Rocks, because it's like this amphitheater and it's kind of like in the middle of this rocky area, it does get a lot of wind, and at one point the show was kind of postponed just due to the weather, and unfortunately when you're at Red Rocks you don't get service of any sort. So a lot of us were trying to like pull out our phones and see what was going on, if we could get any updates via social media, and all of us got nothing. But Charles, he ended up going and getting some coffee, and luckily while there they were able to go and get some information and found out like, oh, the show's going to start at 9. And granted, we got there at 6 p.m. because that's when the gates opened. So we were kind of there for a hot minute. But yeah, the show ended up starting and it was so good. I love Halsey. I absolutely love Halsey. And honestly, like, you could not tell the difference in person. They sounded just as great as they do in all their music, all their recorded music. Same amazing sound, everything, possibly even better, because I mean live, and given the elevation here in Colorado and still like being able to
dance around, skip, and sing without being out of breath, that was so impressive. There was one part that really, really frustrated me, and there was this like guy in front of us, and I think he was just trying to go and like be impressive to his friend or someone he was trying to become friends with. I think it was like a double date type of situation. And he was so annoying. During the first part of the show, he would not shut up. He kept talking, and he was doing such a hissy fit when the show was postponed due to the weather. And it's like, okay, if you're so mad about the show being postponed due to weather because like there was wind, like they had props and everything like that. They were looking at the safety of their crew and Halsey. Yeah, so the guy was complaining a lot and everything. And then as soon as the music starts, he wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't stop talking. It's like, buddy, did you want to watch the show? Because if you didn't want to watch the show, like, why the hell did you come here? Because some of us would like to watch. So finally, like, after a little bit, he did finally quiet down. I think we were like 5 or 6 songs deep before he stopped saying anything. And I was like, great, now we can actually enjoy the show. And so that made me happy. I was like giddy jumping around because Halsey played like every single one of my favorite songs. So I was very happy. I was very satisfied with that. Now, moving on to book information. I did finish The King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby, and honestly with this one, I'm a little bit upset at myself because I feel like if I wasn't in such a reading slump, I would have been able to retain information better in this book and probably enjoy my experience a lot more. Instead, I felt like I was zoning out quite a bit, and I did have to go and rewind. There was a really intense twist at the end where I kind of felt like it was a little bit like slow going, and then suddenly towards the end, once there was this reveal, it's just like everything happened all at once. And even then I did have to rewind a few times because I was like, wait, what just happened? Like, I was in disbelief, I guess, for lack of better words. So yeah, I had to go and re-listen to it. And honestly, the way it kind of ended, if he wanted to write a sequel to the book, he definitely could, because it was kind of left open-ended where you don't know, like, is this it or is more going to happen? So it was good. I think I rated it 4 stars, and I definitely do want to read more of his backlist. But yeah, I do really wish I would have been able to retain more of this book and that I wasn't in such a reading slump while reading it and listening to it. Then I also started reading Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig once I had finished that book. And as you can see, I don't know if you can really see because it's dark compared to my bookmark, but I'm about this far into the book. I'm on page 262. And with this one as well, hi Nugs, hi. With this one as well, it was a little bit slow going. It took a lot for me to try to get into the world building, fully understand what was going on. This wouldn't necessarily be like high fantasy like Brandon Sanderson. I feel like for this, it would almost be equivalent to Legendborn, with the type of lore and information that you kind of have to build and get an understanding of to fully understand the story. So after I got that, I believe even past page 100, I was still kind of going back and forth with like, okay, I think I'm getting it. Okay, maybe I'm not getting it quite yet. So it did take a little bit, but now I can fully say I am absolutely loving it. I'm loving our female main character. She is now fully getting an understanding of the world around her and what her perception has been versus some very realistic pieces of the world outside of where she's been living for almost 10 years now. And then on the opposite side, the knight, it kind of seems a little bit like enemies to lovers at first, but now more so enemies to friends and then maybe lovers. And I just love the banter and the commentary between the female main character and the knight. It's just kind of like my kind of humor and the way I flirt. Not fully, because I'm not a good flirt, but sometimes I tend to have those snarky remarks. More so like back in the days when I would go and like party and things like that. If I did want to flirt, I would kind of have the snarky comments or the witty comments. So this is very much up my alley for the way flirting is done. And then also there's this gargoyle there who just is completely oblivious to the tone in the room, to social cues, things like that, and just flies by the seat of his pants. I don't know if that works for gargoyles, but there's just so many different comments that this gargoyle will make where like you just chuckle or you shake your head. So all of that to say, I am very much enjoying this book so far. I'm really starting to get into it more. So if you've been curious about this book, just know that it can be a little bit slower to get into. But then once you get a full understanding of the world, I think it will be a lot easier to go and enjoy this book. I feel like there's a lot of people that rave about this, talk about how much they love it, and then other people are kind of meh. And I feel like if you're one of those people that's feeling a little bit meh on it, to at least give it a little bit longer and at least wait until maybe page 150 before writing it off, because at least coming from someone that has been in a bit of a reading slump, I found that that was really when the ball started rolling for me and the book started making a lot more sense and was more enjoyable. So I will probably check in with you. I don't know if I'll check in today. I'll probably check in tomorrow. Today's the 27th and it's Friday, and I have stuff that I have to do later tonight, but I will probably have to really rush on the last remaining books in my TBR this weekend. So we'll see how well that goes. Hi everyone. So I think I told you yesterday when I was reading The Night and the Moth that I probably wouldn't give a recap on it until the next day. I have finished it, and holy crap. Just holy crap. So with this book, I really struggled in the beginning part. I think it might have had to do with the reading slump and everything, and I really had to go and trek through the book quite a bit just so I could get immersed in the magic system and in the world building. And I think after at least like page 150, that's when going and sticking to the book really paid off, because it was so good. I loved our characters, our main characters. I was absolutely obsessed with them. 6 was just everything I love with a main character, a female main character, where she has these strong beliefs and then suddenly they're shattered and she has to rewrite everything she's been taught to know and believe in. And then enter in our bad knight, Rory. I loved him. I love those dark, broody love interests. I loved him. I feel like I'm not really putting words together all that well, but just the way the chemistry was for both of these characters, the banter was so good. It was exactly the type of flirting style that I really enjoy, and I love how their relationship grew, kind of from being enemies to friends to very hesitant to really cross the line from being friends into being lovers. The armor fitting scene was just beautifully done. I loved just the build-up that happened there, as well as some other scenes, which I don't want to go and spoil. I think you should go and read them for yourselves. And then lastly, the gargoyle. I was very hesitant with the gargoyle at first. I feel like when it comes to animal companions in books, there's a fine line that needs to be not crossed in order for me to enjoy that companion. And at first, reading the book, I was very uncertain. I wasn't quite sure, just with how the gargoyle was and their peculiar phrases that they used, the way they couldn't really go and read the room and had these interesting outbursts. But I think that's part of why I really loved the gargoyle, because as you continue going on with the story, some of these outbursts were just so funny, so hilarious, and really helped build this fondness that you get towards the gargoyle character. And honestly, the gargoyle should be protected at all costs. Just loved them. But yeah, the way that this book ended, I had a feeling because I know that this is going to be a series. I don't know if it's going to be a duology, but things were just going too well for so long that I'm like, no, there's got to be a cliffhanger at the end of this that is going to make it so unbearable to wait for the next book to know what happens. And I was right. And the thing is, I kind of had an inkling. I had an inkling about something that could happen. And Rachel Gillig did not disappoint. She did that, but then she's like, let's add even more and let's make it worse and more painful. So I ended rating this book 4.5. Like I said in the beginning, I was considering rating this under a 4-star, which is honestly what I did with One Dark Window. I still haven't finished the duology for this series, and now I'm definitely going to need to do that. But I think, if anything, I prefer The Night and the Moth way more over One Dark Window. That might be my opinion, and not something that a lot of other people agree on, but I definitely loved this one more than One Dark Window. It got me. It made me feel all the emotions. I was kicking my feet. I was giggling. So yeah, if that convinces you to pick up this book, I sure hope so. Because as someone that was a little bit on the fence but ended up absolutely loving this book, it's definitely going to be in my top for the year. Yeah, that's all I have to say for that. Now moving on. So we have really struggled to get any of the books done that I had for Defend the TBR. I think Night and the Moth has been the only one I've done, and that one was, I believe, worth 1 point because it was a poll pick. So I still have 3 other books that I need to read before the end of the month. I believe today is the 28th, and we only have a few days remaining. So I have Bunny by Mona Awad that I need to read, and this one I think is a little bit over 300 pages. I also have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, and this one is 374 pages. This will be a reread for me, but I loved this series so much. Granted, the last time I read it was, I think, in high school. So we'll see how well the reread is, but it's been over 10 years since I read this, so I feel like it should feel like fresh and new enough that I should be able to easily read through it. And then I have a Kindle read for Hollow by Taylor Groth, and I was really hoping to read this one for Pride Month as well. So we'll see how this goes. I also forgot to mention, so you probably won't see this until I decide to do another book mail video, but publisher mail, I ended up going and getting We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. And I know I've been so forgetful. I can't remember if this is like a prequel or a sequel to the series, but I'm gonna have to read it because this one comes out in September. So I about screamed when I got this in the mail because I didn't think I was gonna be one of the people that got picked to get this book, but I did, and so yeah, just a lot of excitement. But that's a current update on how we're doing so far with reading the rest of our June TBR. I have 3 books left. I don't know if we'll succeed or not. We shall see. Nugget doesn't look too enthused, so I don't feel like she's cheering me on this. So we'll see how I did in the next update. Hey everyone, so just checking in. I have finally finished reading Bunny by Mona Awad, and I started this yesterday afternoon, I believe, and I finally finished it today, so maybe less than 24 hours, I'm not quite sure. But I honestly don't really know what I'd go and rave this book. This is definitely one that I will need some time to process on, because people weren't kidding when they talked about being confused and just trying to process everything that they read. This one kind of gave me a mixture of course, the Heathers, Mean Girls, but also applying that whole hive mind that might get incorporated, especially more in cliquey, cult-like groups. So yeah, there was a lot going on in there. And with this book, I definitely wondered a lot of the time, like, what's real, what's fake? Is this really our main character's perception of what's going on, or is this a figment of her imagination? There was just so many questions that I definitely have reading this, and I feel like I need to go and look through so many people's reviews just to get a better understanding and wrap my brain around more of my thoughts with reading this book, because it did leave me quite confused at times. But at the same time, I couldn't put it down because I was so invested in trying to figure out what exactly was going on. So I feel like this wasn't necessarily a horror per se, or I guess like the normal horror, paranormal, blood and gore type of thing. Yes, there was blood and gore in this, and definitely check your trigger warnings on this. However, this was a different type of horror. I would almost put this along with We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kluwer, just with all the confusion and kind of trying to wrap your head around everything that's going on. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like you'll only understand if you've read this book and you've also read that one to fully understand like the wavelength I'm kind of going on. But at the same time, I feel like my brain is so mush after reading this that putting together words is a struggle right now. So although today is the 29th and we still have one more day in the month of June, I can't get myself to read. I need to have a brain break. So the two books that I have left would be Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins and then Hollow by Taylor Groth. And this one is of course on my Kindle that I'm holding up, and I'm still kind of going back and forth between which one I'm gonna pick up next. I almost feel like I want to pick up the Hunger Games because this just feels way more up my alley, more along my comfort zone, although I feel like Taylor's book very much will be as well, but I feel like I need something that's a little bit more smooth sailing, so it could be this one. I also do have some other books, like I have an ARC that is The Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen, and that actually releases the first day of July, and I really wanted to go and get to reading that one too. So we'll see how things go, but yeah, this isn't going to be at the end of this vlog because I do still want to get more of my June reading in it, even if it's going to be cramming at the last minute. So that's my last update here. I'm going to take a little brain break and then I'll probably try to do some more reading. So you'll know sooner than I do what book I pick up next. Hey friends, so I have a confession. I know it's been a hot minute since my last check-in and then this current check-in. Oh, yep. Nugget also has to say that she's sorry she did not check in. Hi. Yes. Every time the camera goes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. What stinky breath. Oh my god, nugs. Yes, I know. I love you so much. You are a perfect princess that hates whenever I film. Okay. So since my last check-in, when I was basically telling y'all that I was starting the Hunger Games, I believe at that point we only had 1 day remaining for the month of June. And so needless to say, as hard as I tried, I was unfortunately not able to finish my June TBR. I still had the Hunger Games and then also Hollow to go and read, and it didn't happen. And although I'm bummed, at the same time, it is a perfect reminder that, you know, don't push yourself, enjoy the process of reading books, and you know, the accomplishment still is that you finish some books, and don't be so hard on yourself if you're not able to successfully complete your TBR for a month. So unfortunately, ending this reading vlog with not the best news, because I am very competitive with myself and I was truly hoping that I would be able to finish all my books, but June was a wild month. There was so much going on and it just wasn't in the cards for me. So you'll have to see what I end up planning on doing for my June TBR. I still have to go and film my July TBR, but I'm gonna do a few changes there. So if you are curious, keep an eye out for this channel, because I can't quite remember if I'm having this vlog up before the June TBR or vice versa, or not June TBR, July TBR or vice versa. So keep your eyes out. Of course, as always, you'll know before I do, because I don't really decide these things until after I edit. And it also depends on which video is a lot easier to edit. So lots of things in the mix. But yeah, so this is the end of this vlog. I'm hoping that next time around I do one of these, maybe I don't have as big of a goal to try to accomplish. But you live and you learn. So if you got this far in the video, I think maybe leave a calendar emote, just because we were kind of racing against the days on the calendar to finish my TBR for the month of June. So yeah, leave a calendar emote. I feel like that would probably be the most fitting for this video. And as always, I want to remind you all that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends.